Have you ever wondered what makes you, you? Where does this sense of self and consciousness arise from within our brain? Pondering on these questions, we find ourselves delving into the intriguing realm of human consciousness. This enigmatic phenomenon, the essence of our existence, is at the core of countless debates within the neuroscience community. Our consciousness, that unique sense of self, is believed to be the product of complex interactions within our brains. Yet the precise origin and nature of consciousness remains shrouded in mystery. The quest to decode this mystery has led scientists down unexpected avenues, unveiling startling discoveries that challenge conventional understanding. One such path is the exploration of the split brain phenomenon, a surgical procedure that inadvertently became a window into the workings of our mind. This unexpected journey into the brain's hemispheres has brought forth compelling evidence, hinting at the possibility of multiple selves. What if I told you our understanding of the self was challenged by a surgical procedure? The year was 1939. The world was on the brink of war, and in a quiet corner of the medical world, a drastic procedure was about to change our understanding of the brain forever. This was the year when doctors, in a bid to treat severe forms of epilepsy, decided to take a rather daring step. They began to split human brains. Now don't let your imagination run wild. This wasn't a gruesome act of barbarism, but a well-calculated surgical procedure. The objective was simple: to alleviate the debilitating symptoms of epilepsy. But the method? It was nothing short of revolutionary. In order to understand this, we need to delve a bit into the anatomy of the brain. Our brain is divided into two hemispheres, the left and the right. These two halves are connected by a bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. This bridge, so to speak, allows the two sides to communicate, to share information. But in patients with severe epilepsy, this communication sometimes goes haywire. The electrical impulses that normally help the brain function start to misfire, leading to seizures. And so doctors came up with an ingenious solution. They decided to cut the corpus callosum. By severing this connection, they hoped to contain the erratic electrical activity to one side of the brain, reducing the frequency and severity of seizures. And while this did help many patients, the procedure also opened up a Pandora's box of questions about the nature of human consciousness. With the corpus callosum cut, scientists could now study how each hemisphere of the brain operated independently. They began to realize that when given different information, each side of the brain processed and integrated this data on its own. This unexpected discovery led to a radical proposition. Could it be that human consciousness isn't a single entity, but rather a collection of selves, each competing for control of the body? Little did these pioneering surgeons know they were about to stumble upon a whole new realm of consciousness. Enter the 1960s, a decade of revolution and discovery, including in the field of neuroscience. During this era, scientists weren't just content with observing the aftermath of split brain surgeries. They wanted to conduct structured experiments to truly understand the implications of this procedure on human consciousness. Neuroscientists like Roger Sperry and Michael Gazzaniga led the charge, carrying out a series of groundbreaking experiments on split brain patients that would forever change our understanding of the human mind. These researchers designed tests that targeted each hemisphere separately, capitalizing on the fact that the left brain controls the right side of the body and vice versa. In one experiment, an image was flashed to the right side of a patient's visual field, which is processed by the left hemisphere. The patient could easily name what they saw, but when the image was flashed to the left side of the visual field, processed by the right hemisphere, things got a bit more complicated. The patient couldn't verbally identify the image, but they could select it with their left hand from a set of options. This indicated that while the right hemisphere could understand and respond to the image, it couldn't communicate this information verbally. This led to the realization that language is predominantly a left brain function, while the right brain deals more with visual and spatial processing. But the revelations didn't stop there. In another experiment, a split brain patient was shown two different images, one to each hemisphere. When asked to draw what they saw with their left hand, controlled by the right brain, they drew the image seen by the right hemisphere. But when asked to name what they drew, they named the image seen by the left hemisphere. It was as if two separate consciousnesses were operating independently within the same brain, each with its own perceptions and abilities. These findings profoundly challenged our understanding of human consciousness. They suggested that our sense of a unified self is, in fact, an illusion, and that we are actually a collection of independent mental processes that somehow come together to create the experience of being a single individual. The implications of these experiments extend far beyond neuroscience, touching on philosophical questions about the nature of the self and our perception of reality. They've compelled us to reconsider long-held assumptions, to question whether our brain is truly an integrated whole, or rather a coalition of parts, each contributing to our conscious experience in its own unique way. These experiments suggested something utterly mind-boggling. There might be more than one conscious self within us. The split brain findings were revolutionary but also controversial. Indeed, they sparked a fiery debate in the realm of neuroscience, a debate that continues to rage on today. The split brain experiments, by showing each hemisphere's independent operation, proposed a radical idea: the existence of multiple selves within one brain. This concept of multiple selves has been both fascinating and unsettling. It suggests that our consciousness, the essence of our identity, may not be as unified as we have always believed. This concept is not without its critics, however. Some argue that the notion of multiple selves is a misinterpretation of the data. They point out that the patients who underwent split brain surgery did not exhibit multiple personalities or identities in their daily lives. Instead, they seem to maintain a singular sense of self despite their divided brains. This criticism raises a critical question. Are the multiple selves observed in lab settings just an artifact of the experimental conditions, or do they reflect a deeper truth about human consciousness? Various theories have been proposed to reconcile these conflicting views. Some propose that the two hemispheres of the brain normally work together to create a unified sense of self, with the split brain condition revealing their potential for independent operation. Others suggest that the self is not located in any particular part of the brain, but emerges from the complex interplay of all brain regions. But despite these theories, the truth about consciousness and the self remains elusive. The brain is an incredibly complex organ, and its workings are far from fully understood. The split brain findings have shown us that the brain's two halves can operate independently, but how this translates into our experience of consciousness is still a puzzle. However, the quest for understanding continues. The controversy sparked by the split brain experiments has spurred further research into the nature of the brain and consciousness. Scientists are exploring new techniques and approaches to study the brain, such as advanced imaging technologies and sophisticated computational models. They are delving deeper into the workings of individual neurons and the intricate networks they form. They are also studying the brain's remarkable plasticity, its ability to reorganize and adapt itself, which may hold clues to the mystery of consciousness. These research efforts are revealing new insights into the brain and consciousness. They are challenging our preconceived notions and pushing the boundaries of our understanding. They are showing us that the brain is not just a biological machine, but a dynamic, ever-changing entity that gives rise to our thoughts, emotions, and sense of self. The mystery of consciousness remains, but every experiment, every surgery, brings us one step closer to understanding the enigma of the self. So what have we learned about the consciousness conundrum? Well, we've delved into the history of split brain surgeries, beginning in 1939 as a treatment for severe epilepsy. This procedure, which involves the severing of the corpus callosum connecting the two hemispheres of the brain, has provided invaluable insights into the workings of the human mind. We've learned that each hemisphere can operate independently, processing and integrating information separately. This has led to the fascinating, if somewhat unsettling, suggestion that we may have multiple selves within our consciousness, each vying for control. This journey into the split brain and its implications for our understanding of consciousness has been an intriguing one, filled with debates and controversies. It's clear that there's still a vast expanse of uncharted territory in neuroscience waiting to be explored. As we continue to delve into the depths of the brain, one thing is certain: our understanding of consciousness is anything but complete.